they've described kind of crawling on the ground as they approach these sites as bullets are whizzing over their heads. So it's a very good question. The Israeli military has said that it's taken measures to prevent such deaths from shootings from happening. It has erected fences and taken other measures. But the fact is, people are still getting killed virtually every day as they approach these sites.
There's been another outbreak of violence at an aid centre in Gaza. The Israeli military says it fired warning shots towards a crowd of thousands of people who it considered to be an immediate threat. The Hamas-run health ministry says at least 79 people were killed. Israel disputes those numbers. The UN World Food Programme said its 25-truck convoy encountered massive crowds of hungry civilians which came under gunfire. Let's talk now to Sudarsan Raghavan, who is senior Middle East correspondent for the Wall Street Journal. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Good to be with you.
Great to have you with us. Let's start with what happened in the last 24 hours on that particular aid centre in Gaza. What do we know to be true at this point?
Well, I mean, things are kind of still murky on the ground since we're not physically there. But from what we're hearing, there, aid workers. I mean, not sorry, aid. Ordinary Gazans seeking food aid had gone to these facilities that are in Gaza, and basically they got shot at, and this has been a daily occurrence really ever since May, when aid points, mostly UN aid points, were essentially erased and replaced by a handful of food points run by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. That has led to thousands and thousands of Gazans seeking aid from roughly four food points in Gaza, and that's what's really creating the chaos there.
And there are now reports from the UN corroborating, saying that they also saw these crowds of hungry people come under gunfire. What can be done here? Because we've had the IDF on the programme. Israel has been warned that it must not aim at civilians who are trying to get aid in Gaza. But this seems to keep happening. It seems to happen every week.
You're right. I mean, Israel says that it fires warning shots at people who are approaching these sites. The thing is that many of these sites are are near militarized areas. People literally got to walk through combat zones, and the Israelis have said that some of these people who've come up pose a threat to them, and they fire warning shots. Palestinians have told us that these bullets are coming incredibly close to them. They've described kind of crawling on the ground as they approach these sites as bullets are whizzing over their heads. So it's a very good question. The Israeli military has said that it's taken measures to prevent such deaths from shootings from happening. It has erected fences and taken other measures. But the fact is, people are still getting killed virtually every day as they approach these sites.
And do we know what the latest is in terms of malnutrition? We've had lots of warnings again from aid agencies, including on this programme, of malnutrition of Gazans in the area. Do we understand what the situation is like on the ground at the moment?
Yeah, both the UN and other humanitarian agencies are telling us that malnutrition is sharply on the rise. There's still a near total blockade of food and other basic needs being allowed into Gaza. So the aid, despite people are getting food from the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, but other items like fuel, for example, is a big problem. Hospitals can't run generators. Ambulances have stalled because they've run out of gas. Malnutrition. The latest figures show that it's sharply risen. Food prices are soaring too. So even those Gazans who have money to buy food in the market, they really can't afford it. So that's all contributing to a worsening humanitarian situation there.
And just finally, we've been talking about the Druze population. Obviously, Israel has offered military support. What is the latest there? Has there been some kind of calm over the last 24 hours?
Yeah, there's a bit of a fragile calm now in Sweden, in the southern area where all the clashes happened last week. Over the weekend, we did see some sporadic clashes, but as of late last night, it seems to have calmed down quite a bit. But again, the it's the underlying causes of the conflict have not been they still exist, and so the concern among many Druze and in southern Syria is that at any moment conflict could erupt again.
Sudarsan, thank you very much.
You're
That's
welcome. Good to be with you.
Thanks so much for your time. That's Sudarsan Raghavan, the senior Middle East correspondent for the Wall Street.
In Gaza, some news from there today. The Israeli military has killed at least 67 people waiting for UN aid lorries. That is according to the Hamas-run health ministry. Let's find out a little bit more about those stories. Gabrielle Weiniger is the Israel correspondent for The Times and joins me now. Great to have you on, Gabby. Let's start with the situation in Gaza at the moment then, and the Hamas-run health ministry saying, yet again, more news of deaths in the territory.
Yeah, this is something that's almost become a daily occurrence for Palestinians seeking food in the coastal enclave in these 4 points of distribution aid centers that are run by the Gaza Humanitarian Fund, which is, of course, an American external contractor that's backed by the Israeli army. So what you have is these private contractors handing out food packages and humanitarian aid packages to the people who kind of queue outside and walk for miles, coming very, very early in the morning. All of that perimeter is secured by the Israeli army. It's in a military zone, and it's become very dangerous, very chaotic. And the UN has said this is a failed effort to distribute aid to very desperate Palestinians, many of whom are reported to be on the verge of famine there.
The Israeli military as well has issued this evacuation order for a part of central Gaza, an area where the IDF hasn't yet sent ground troops. I find it amazing that there are still these areas in Gaza where the IDF has not entered. We are 21 months into this war now.
That's right. It's a very heavily populated place, Deir al-Balah. It's the center of Gaza. It's Gaza City. The reason why Israel hasn't entered there is kind of twofold. I think the first one is that is where the hostages are believed to be held. That also means that senior Hamas militants are hiding out there with them under the tunnels there. It's because it's such a difficult terrain. Think urban warfare, but extremely narrow streets, cobbled paving stones. It's a very, very difficult place for troops to operate. They have bombed it extensively from the ground. It's not that Deir al-Balah has remained unscathed in these 21 months of conflict, but it's an area that the army have put off going inside to make sure that the hostages stay safe, and also because of the nature of the territory, the hostage families. They are quite angered by the move to go in, and they say that it endangers the lives of the hostages. So it's been a very controversial move here in Israel. But there are hopes, and every day we say this, but there are hopes that the ceasefire negotiations are moving forward, and the operation won't be massively extensive, and will preserve the lives of the hostages and Palestinian civilians as well.
Well, let's hope that is the case. Gabby, I know you're keeping across the situation in Syria as well. I mean, it's been a week of really intense fighting between the Bedouin fighters and the Druze population in that area. But it seems that this ceasefire that has been in operation does just about seem to be holding at the moment.
Yeah, we're not seeing the extent of violence that we've seen over this past week. I mean, we've had numbers that are unimaginable. 700 people killed as of Saturday, according to the Syrian Observatory of Human Rights. I think what's interesting here is also the Israeli involvement, which has appeared to anger the White House, who are, of course, trying to lead an effort to help Syria reform and unite. And Donald Trump has been quite heavily and personally invested in this effort to build a new Syria. He's lifted sanctions on the leader, Ahmed al-Shara, and he's seeing Netanyahu get involved, bomb the presidential palace, bomb the Syrian military headquarters, send in troops to Sueda, this southern city that you mentioned earlier where the violence has happened. And we saw reports yesterday of US officials saying Netanyahu is behaving like a child. He's too disruptive, he's too trigger happy, he's too willing to get involved militarily in affairs that don't concern Israel. And we've heard Israeli officials also say the same. Why is Netanyahu bombing everything all the time, is what one source said. So the reason Israel got involved is because of domestic considerations and also external ones. On one hand, they want to protect the Druze minority, which are a large part of Israeli life, social and military life. And the other reason is to protect their borders. Of course, they don't want hostile elements led by al-Shara and jihadi elements on their border with Syria.
Yeah, and a weak Syria, of course, is probably sort of militarily beneficial to Israel. Gabby, we've got to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. Really, really appreciate it. And a lot to cover off there, as there always is, unfortunately, at the moment, with stories from the Middle East. But I appreciate your time. Gabrielle Weiniger, Israel correspondent for The Times.